Hello and welcome to this part of Selenium 4. In this session, I'm going to go very basic step by step. You can also find all my work on my website automationstepbystep.com, and after this session you can take the Selenium quiz on my website. So let's get started, and in this session we are going to learn all about weights in Selenium in a very easy way. So we are going to see what are weights, why do we need weights in automation testing, and then we are going to see the three types of weights in Selenium, that is implicit weights, explicit weights and fluent weights, and I will also show you a demo for all these types of weights. So let's get started and let us see what exactly weights are in Selenium or in automation testing in general. So in Selenium or in automation testing, when we are running our scripts, sometimes we need to wait for a specific time or for some condition to be true, and to make this possible, we have some functions, some wait functions in Selenium WebDriver. And why do we actually need the weights in general in automation testing? So in automation testing, there is a gap or a difference in the speed at which our script is running and the speed at which the browser gets load or the application gets loads on the browser. So because of this gap, sometimes we get exceptions like the element is not visible or no such element, and also because the load time or render time of different elements may be different on the application, and in that case also we may want to use some weights. And the Selenium WebDriver script and the browser events may not be synchronous at all the times. That is, the speed at which our Selenium WebDriver script is running and the speed at which all the browser events or all the browser objects are getting loaded may not be the same, and that is why sometimes we have to make our scripts wait for some time or for some condition to be true, and that is the reason we need waits in automation testing or in Selenium. Now here we have three types of weights in Selenium. We have implicit weight, explicit weight and fluent weight. So let us learn all these weights in a very basic step-by-step way. Let us start with implicit weight. So implicit weight, sometimes when we have a difference in the load time of different objects or page or web elements on the web page, in that case we can use implicit wait. Let me show you a demo. I will go to my project, and this is the project we created in our earlier session. So I'm going to my Eclipse, and here in my test package I'm going to create a new class. So I will do a right click here on my test package and I will say new, and I will select a class, and here I will give the name. I will say weights demo, or let me just say weights here, and I will say finish. So it creates a class called weights, and I hope this is visible. I can increase the font by pressing Ctrl and plus key on my keyboard. I hope this is now fine. So now let me first create a main method. I will say main and press Ctrl spacebar on my keyboard so I get this auto completion. So I have created a main method, and now here let me very quickly copy the first statements from my earlier script which opens the browser. I just need these two scripts here, and that's it. So I'm using WebDriver Manager. If you want, you can directly use Chrome driver exe and then open the browser. So I'm saying WebDriver driver equals new Chrome driver. You can use any other browser also if you want to. And now here, let us say I will say driver dot get, and I want to go to a website. I will just go to google.com. So I'm saying https colon / google.com, and here after going to google.com, let us say if I go to google.com, I want to find this particular search box. So if I do a right click and say inspect, here I will see the properties, and if you see here we have a name property for this search box, and the name is equals to Q. I will use this. So I will say here driver dot find element by dot name, and the name is Q, and then I will say dot send keys. So I want to write something in that search box. I will say just write automation step by step, so it will search for my website. And after this I also want to hit the enter key so that it searches for this particular text. So I can directly say here plus, and I will say keys dot, and if I press Control spacebar on my keyboard, I will start typing enter and press Control spacebar. I am getting this option enter. So I want to type enter, or I want to hit the enter key, and I will give a semicolon at the end. Also, if you see, it has imported this keys class from Selenium library, so this is important. And then after doing this, I will just say driver dot close and driver dot quit. We have seen the difference between close and quit in our earlier sessions, so that's it. So this is my very simple program, and to run this I will do a right click and say run as Java application, and let me see what happens. So it opens the Chrome browser, goes to google.com, and yes, it types and enters and then closes the browser. This is working fine. Now we have to use implicit wait, and as I have said, implicit wait makes our WebDriver to poll the DOM or the backend of our web page for a certain amount of time, as whatever time we give in our implicit wait statement. And then it is very useful when you see that your your web elements are not loading all at the same time in your application, and you need some wait, or maybe due to some network condition you need to have some wait. You can use the implicit wait, and this is the syntax, this is the script. We say driver.manage.timeouts.implicit wait and give the duration. So I will say here, just before opening my application, I will say here driver.manage. You will also get auto suggestions dot timeouts dot implicit wait, and to give the duration I will say duration dot off. I want to give in seconds, so I will say seconds, and I will give the duration, let us say 10 seconds. And you will also see as you do this, it has also added this import Java time duration. So this is how we give the implicit wait. Let me also give a comment here. This is implicit wait. So this will make our script to wait for a maximum duration of 10 seconds. Sometimes when it does not find an object, or it is not able to do some action on the object, it will wait for a maximum duration of 10 seconds. But as soon as it finds the object or the element, it will do the action. So it is not going to wait for a complete duration of 10 seconds every time, and the polling interval is 500 milliseconds. So it will keep on polling every 500 milliseconds until the maximum duration of 10 seconds. And even if I run now, it should be fine. So I'm running my script again and checking, and yes, everything is working fine. So this is how we give implicit wait, and by default implicit wait is set to 0 seconds, and that means it is always disabled until you give some duration for your implicit wait. And one very important thing is, once you set implicit wait, it is set for the entire duration of your session. So that means once I have set this, it will be there for the entire duration of my session or my WebDriver session, unless I close and quit my driver. So whatever you do between this, there will be an implicit wait of 10 seconds added. So this is very important, and as I have told you, the polling frequency is 500 milliseconds for implicit wait. So this is how we implement implicit wait in Selenium. Now let us talk about explicit waits. Now in Selenium, or in your automation testing when you are using Selenium, sometimes we have to wait for some time until a particular condition is met, and in that case we can use explicit wait. So we can make the WebDriver wait for some particular time until a condition is met, and for explicit wait we will have to import these two classes. And even if you do not import it first and you start typing your statement for explicit wait, it will give you a suggestion and you can import it later. So let me first try to add a explicit wait, and for that I will say here, let me say, I will say WebDriver wait, and if I press Control space bar, you will see it will autocomplete and will also import this class. And I will give any name, let us say wait, and I will say new. So here I will say WebDriver wait equals new WebDriver wait, and I will have to give the object of my WebDriver. So I will say new WebDriver wait. The object is driver, so you can see this is the object that you have mentioned here for WebDriver. And then the duration, I will set the duration in seconds, and let us say 10 seconds. So this is how you create an object for explicit wait, and then after this you can say wait dot until the expected condition is met for some particular element. So I can now say wait dot until, and I will say expected conditions. And now as you press dot, you can see a lot of condition that you can use. Alert is present, and attribute to be, element to be clickable, element to be selected, visible, etc. I will say element to be clickable, and I also have to give the locator for the element. So let's just say after I type here automation step by step and enter, I want to click on this link which takes me to my website, automation step by step never stop learning. And if I do a right click here and say inspect, so here this is the link text. I can use this link text to find this element. So I will copy this and I will say by dot link text, or I will just say partial link text, and I will give this text here, automation step by step never stop learning, and that's it. So here you can see we have set the time duration, that is 10 seconds, and also we have set a condition that this particular element should be clickable, and only after that we will proceed to the next action. And I can actually store this in a type web element. So I can say web element link equals to this, or I will give some name like my link. And after this I will also have to import the web element from Selenium library, and after this I will say my link dot click. Let me also give the comments here that this is an example of explicit wait. So you can see here, this is how we implement the explicit wait. We have created a wait class, and then we have given the duration here, and then we have given the condition for a particular element. So now I will save and run and check. So it opens the browser, goes to google.com, and yes, and now it is waiting, and yes, it found it, and then it clicked and went to the website. So this is working fine, and you can see all the imports it has done. So all these imports are done, expected condition, WebDriver wait, all this is imported. So all this we have given here is already imported. Sometimes if you do not see the imports or you want to resolve the imports, you can press Ctrl Shift and O key combination, that is Ctrl plus Shift plus O. In case of Mac, you can press Command plus Shift plus O, so it will resolve all the import statements. So this is how we implement and use explicit wait in Selenium. And here, as I have shown you, there are so many conditions you can check. Alert is present, element is visible, element is clickable, and so on. And also, as in implicit wait, in explicit wait also the polling frequency is 500 milliseconds. So that means I have given a duration, this is the maximum duration, but it will keep on polling every 500 milliseconds until this condition is true, and as soon as the condition is true, that is this particular element is clickable, it will come out and do the next action. So this is how we use explicit wait. Now sometimes when we mix implicit wait and explicit wait, there can be some unpredictable or longer wait times. For example, suppose I have given an implicit wait of 10 seconds and then for some particular element I have added a explicit wait of 15 seconds. In that case, the total wait time can be 25 seconds. So you can use this accordingly. Suppose you want to explicitly wait for 15 seconds and you have already added an implicit wait for 10 seconds, then in the explicit wait condition you can just add a wait time of 5 seconds. So this is how you can manage. So this is one thing that you should take care while using both of these waits together. Now coming to fluent waits. Now fluent wait is very much similar to explicit wait, that is it waits for a certain duration along with a condition. The difference is here we can set a polling frequency. So it is not 500 milliseconds by default as we have seen in explicit wait. We can actually set our own polling frequency, and also if you want to ignore the exception you can do that in fluent wait. I will show you a demo. So here, to add fluent wait or to implement fluent wait, this is how we create a fluent wait object. I will say, so here I will say this is an example of fluent wait, and I will say here, so first I have to create a object of wait which is coming from WebDriver. So I will say wait, and this is of type WebDriver. I can give any name. I will say fluent wait for easy reference, and then I will say new, and I will say, so I just have to say fluent wait. Let me try to say control spacebar. It should give me auto suggestion. Yes, it is giving me auto suggestion. And here I will say WebDriver, and the WebDriver object is this driver. And now after this, after doing this, we can set the timeout, we can set the polling frequency, and we can also set the exception to ignore. So I will say here dot with timeout, and I can set the duration. I'll say duration dot off, and I want to set in seconds. I will say 10 seconds. Then again I will say dot polling every. I will say again I want to add this in duration seconds. So I want to poll every 1 second, and then I will say dot ignoring, and I will select what exception I want to ignore. So I do not want to get no such element exception. I will say no such element exception, and I'll say this class I want to ignore, and that's it. Let me also see what it is asking me to import. I will have to import it from this Selenium library, and that's it. So let me also show you the imports as of now. So you can see there is some error in this import. I will press Ctrl Shift and O key on my keyboard, and this is gone. So this is how you can resolve the imports. So this is how my imports look like, and this is my fluent wait object created. And now using the fluent wait, as I have done for explicit wait, I can now give the condition and I can implement the fluent wait. So I can now just say fluent wait dot until, and I can give the condition, and then I can give the locator of that particular object. So I will say here fluent wait dot until, and I will say here expected conditions, and whatever I want, like element to be clickable. So let's say this, and I can say by dot xpath or whatever locator you have, you can give that, and then give a semicolon at the end. So this will implement fluent weight in our script for that particular element. So this is how we use fluent weight in Selenium. And I hope this is very useful to you and you have a complete understanding of all the weights in Selenium. If you want, you can take quiz on my website, automationstepbystep.com. I hope this was very useful for you. I will see you in the next session. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.